It is most likely the most unique perspective of a land torn apart by war and dissension. Israel through the eyes of surfers? Yep, that's the subject of a brand new documentary called Promised Land.
There happens to be a really good reef break.
It's waves and war.
As surprising as it may seem for many around the world, surfers have been riding the waves in this tiny nation off the Mediterranean coast for decades. 91-year-old Dorian Paskowitz was, by all accounts, the first to tackle the Israeli surf.
1956, 57, there were 7 surfers that I had taught to surf.
The new documentary, Promised Land, produced by the San Diego-based production company Walking on Water Films, has had several screenings thus far with solid reviews. It cuts deep, looking at the various divisions in this land scarred by decades of suffering, missile attacks, bombings, and the political fights over its holy capital.
I've always loved Israel. I've always loved the Jewish people.
The story focuses on 2 men, one a Christian, Todd Moorhead, a surfer from Southern California.
Surfing, it's a bridge over socioeconomic barriers, religion, language. Doesn't matter. Status, it doesn't matter because we're all surfers.
The other, a Jewish surfboard shaper named Hani from Israel.
Peace is going to happen, but we need that everybody surf first.
As I spoke with Moorhead, Paskowitz, and the film's producer Brian Jennings on a California beach, they all revealed their determination to make this film raw and honest, and to shed light on why surfers seem to be able to bring more peace to Israel, at least to their surfing community, than politicians, bombs, and mortars.
You're not a Jewish surfer, an Arab surfer, an American surfer. You're just a surfer, you know, and you're enjoying the ocean.
It's something most people don't think about when they think of the country of Israel, that there are actually surfers there surfing on the Mediterranean Sea. But it turns out there's a lot of surfers in Israel, about 25,000 people, and it's opening up a new dialogue between Christians, Muslims, and the Jews.
This is where Yeshua gives this famous, what they call the Olivet Discourse.
I think it definitely opens up that dialogue, and now Todd and Hani have that friendship, and that simple friendship, that one true friendship, has now created hundreds of friendships.
Former world champion surfer Tom Curran, a Christian himself, plays a major role in this film, capping his week-long surf trip to Israel by spending a full day searching for a young Muslim surfer to give him one of his own surfboards.
Just looking for this one kid that lives here and surfs at this point break. I noticed the kid surfs pretty good, and his board was kind of beat up.
In the end, the film doesn't solve all the problems, but it seems to highlight one small solution to at least help open the dialogue between friends, enemies, men of different faiths, to seek some realm of peace.
I don't think surfing will bring peace to the Middle East, but there's a good chance to spend quality time with people that you don't share the same culture.
Well, Alan, right now that investigation is still ongoing here at the scene. We're now into hour 7 of that investigation. But I do want to show you the white sedan that the female passenger and the driver were sitting in when it somehow crashed into an Escondido police cruiser. That is apparently when shots were fired.
31, she has a 9-year-old daughter, and now her daughter doesn't have a mom, okay?
Anger from a mother who just lost her daughter at the hands of Escondido police.
Did she have a weapon on her?
No, she did not.
Why did this happen?
I don't know. If I knew, then I don't want to go anymore, okay?
11:30 Thursday morning when shots rang out. Escondido police fired several rounds into a suspected stolen car. One woman was killed. The entire incident observed by many witnesses who say they saw this white sedan pulling out of this apartment complex on Grand Avenue in Escondido.
The girl in the white car crashed into the cop's car and shot her. And they started shooting.
Escondido police say they watched as 27-year-old Christopher Ramirez and a woman got into the stolen car. Police tried to block the suspect, but Ramirez rammed into an unmarked patrol car, injuring one officer. He then accelerated again, nearly hitting another undercover officer who was on foot. That officer fired several shots into the vehicle, aiming for the driver. He missed, hitting the female passenger.
At that time, our officers went up. They realized that the passenger had been struck by one of those rounds, at least one of those rounds, and they immediately gave first aid to that person. Medics were called.
Lieutenant Bob Benton says the woman died a short time later at the hospital. He says the officer who fired the shots likely feared for his life. In an ironic twist, the victim who was killed by police was the same woman who the family says called police in the first place.
That we have yet to confirm. and we're not releasing that information at this time.
She called Officer Cirillo and let him know that she was going to have him take her to the store. So they knew they were going to the store. They knew they were about to leave the complex, and somehow she was killed.
Jessica Carroll says her sister was trying to get her ex-boyfriend out of her life, that she had just called police and arranged a plan, telling police she was going to the store with Ramirez, that they'd be leaving the complex in the stolen white sedan, and to please pull it over.
She said, "I'll give you him as long as you leave me out of this," and they killed her.
Escondido police say they are trying to figure out exactly what happened, if this was or was not a justified shooting. The family says they already know.
How is it you help the cops and you end up dead?
Now, if you're traveling in this area of Escondido, this road here on Grand Avenue is shut down between Fairdale and Rose Street in Escondido. They are diverting traffic around that scene here. And right now, the victim's identity has not been released. That is according to Escondido police. We are live tonight in Escondido. I'm Tom Jordan, KUSI News.
A general store, greetings in the marketplace, games in the street. All the elements of a typical community in war-torn Iraq.
Shots fired, shots fired.
Including a surprise insurgent attack. But this is not Iraq, it's Camp Pendleton, and this is a new training program called Combat Hunter.
We liken it to nowhere to run to, nowhere to hide.
Greg is the combat specialist leading the Marine Corps' most recent innovation of combat training. The former police officer and his team bring a unique skill of observing, profiling, and tracking an enemy target from both city life and big game hunting to the battlefield.
Flak is stuff that we add on to the scenario to make it interesting. It creates an atmosphere where each Marine is a better intel gatherer, a better observer, and definitely has the ability to pick out insurgents and terrorists out of any type of crowd. There we go. Turn down that street, nice and slow.
His group of specially trained Marines are looking for certain behavior sets or domains that trigger a red flag.
The harder a person tries to conceal one of those domains, the more his human behavior characteristics will stick out.
In this scenario, Marines play Iraqi civilians in everyday Iraqi life: soccer, badminton, casual discussion, and the so-called hooligans, those deemed a high-risk priority. Every move, pattern, behavior being watched closely from as far away as 3,000 meters, where Marines with a trained eye are able to see a broader picture and a threat looming on the fringe of town. This man walking with a supposed limp, avoiding attention.
90% of hunting is finding what you're looking for. And then the last 10% is just engaging what you're looking for.
Colonel Fred Padilla says combat hunter training teaches Marines to find their enemies before their enemies strike, even in the confusing fog of war.
This helps to cut through some of that fog and friction, to enable Marines to understand their situation and make the right decisions.
In this exercise, behavior patterns indicate the hooligans here are just a distraction to a larger threat. Remember the man with a limp? Well, now he's attained his place as a sniper, positioned on a nearby rooftop.
3, 2, shots fired, shots fired, shots fired.
A big part of combat hunter training is understanding the Iraqi mindset. The difference between an innocent civilian and a probable threat is key.
Where is Mecca now? Okay, we pray that direction. We do not face each other as we are praying.
We have the missing piece here. We have real Iraqis who have been in Iraq, who've been in Iraqi military and worked side by side with the U.S. forces for the last 3-4 years. So it's more real.
We're not affecting the innocent civilians that are out there. We'll be better at doing that.
Okay, do me a favor, be on the move.
Greg believes this training is doing just that and helping to knock down a major foe, Al-Qaeda.
Al-Qaeda, because they've been faced with combat profiling over the last year, is failing miserably.
This is Tom Jordan reporting.